All right.
Okay,
7:12.
meeting's called to order at 7:12. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bill, I don't know, but you left your account up, so I'm assuming that
Oh, I
that's on
did.
mute or something. I don't think I can mute it myself.
You can't hear anything, can you?
No, not at this point. Okay, let's go to our agenda. All members are present. Hear from the public. Do we have anybody from the public who wants to speak? Paul, did you have anything to say?
No, I'm just here to listen.
Okay, we'll talk. First selectmen's briefing. Okay, a couple of things. I'm gonna start with Casey and I walked Subpoena Road because of some of the damage that we've had there and complaints from neighbors on that road. So we not only did he and I walk it with the engineer from NECOG, we then we did that a week and a half ago. But then last week, we also walked it on Friday with the people who complained. And rightly so, the road washes out, it's in pretty bad shape. And every time it rains, it's in bad shape, remarkably bad shape. So after walking it with the engineer, we identified 4 different places where we could make some changes that would affect the flow of water going into the road. We also will be talking with the people who bought the liquor store and have converted it, because there's some things that they're doing on their property that are an issue. And that was pointed out by the NECOG engineer. In addition, we know that there's a bigger project that will need to be done down by the bridge. And that one we're putting off for now. In fact, the others we can't get to right away. But we're hoping that some of the changes that we make will actually decrease the flow of water going down the road. And as a result, we may or may not need to deal with the bridge at this point in time. So that went very well, and the people who live there that were complaining were very pleased to have gotten the attention that they feel the road deserves. We did tell them we have a lot of roads that have that issue. It's just this one is pretty bad, one of the bad ones. So that's one thing. We also, you will find that you have a couple of things there. You have a authorizing resolution for the Board of Selectmen may enter into with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Energy Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents which is deems necessary or appropriate. And unfortunately, as first selectman, I'd be the person authorized to do that. So I've given you a copy of that document, and if you like, we'll add that to the agenda so that we can get this taken care of, hopefully. In addition, I was contacted by Margie Chady from the Economic Development Committee, and she asked if we have, and I have not provided this to you in hard copy, it's a big thick thing. She asked if we had named someone from our town to be basically our agent or our representative for the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the founding of the country. And this is a Connecticut 250, I'm sorry, America 250 Connecticut program. So I think while she's told me to go out and look at the website to see what this is, again, she was asking if someone had been named for Ashford. I'd like to make sure that, I think that actually economic development may be the better place to ask who they recommend to be the spokesman. Perhaps they have someone. I don't think any of the 3 of us could do an adequate job. This is about promoting tourism and things like that. So I'll get you more information about that. I also provided I put it together pretty quickly, a list of the that I got from our sexton for any trees that were or limbs that are in danger of falling on our cemeteries, on our stones. And I printed that, he did it in handwriting, but I printed it out for you so you could at least have that list.
Mhm.
And as you can see, there's a number of them, and basically the trees or limbs, and for the most part, are the trees are growing on properties that are not town properties, and they're just hanging over the cemeteries. So he did a pretty good job of giving me a list. So when you see the number of trees, what you see is the name of the cemetery, and there's a number in parens right afterwards. That's the number of trees around the cemetery, that one
Okay.
number.
Oh, okay.
And then the problem trees are kind of
Listed.
listed.
Okay.
So that's something I think we'll look at a later date, but I wanted to make sure you have that and know that we are actually looking at that. And in one case, he said that where trees are in one of the cemeteries, that the stones, should it fall on any of the stones that are there, they're made of a different material from a different time, and they cannot be replaced.
But we had that incident at South Cemetery a year and
Exactly,
a half ago.
exactly.
We lucked out. There were a couple that were damaged, but there
Yeah.
could have been a lot more. I know the ones that we've looked at, because I had walked them with Jim and also by myself a few times up at Lips Road around the academy. There's some real serious trees on private property there that even the academy building itself could be threatened.
Right. We also had a thing where the academy privy door was off its hinges. Somebody had propped it up against it. So I let Casey know, and I suggested that he check and see what kind of hinges it had, because I didn't know if they were historical hinges. See if he could put the same kind up. In addition, I got complaints, and maybe you, Bill, you heard them too, at the Easter egg hunt over at the senior center, where people were able to get in through a door that's locked because it was not fully closed.
Sorry.
Or whatever. I know,
Yeah,
I had,
I heard
my
about
husband
that.
was there. I went over, went outside, I said, make sure the door's locked. He did. I went to pull on it. It didn't open. We did it 3 times. 3 times.
Was this
It was
one of the
fine,
main lobby doors?
None of those doors have a satisfying click when you close it. And one of the husbands of people there had looked at the door, looked at the bottom, because they both have double door, all of them have double doors. And he said it's at the top that there appears to be something loose. So I'm going to have Casey take a look at it and see if it's something that he thinks we can deal with. And if not, then maybe we'll get somebody in and take care of that. One of the other complaints was that the door that's next to the where you go into the foyer, one door was getting caught and kept flying open because of the wind. So I actually talked with Kit about that today, and she said ever since she's been here, that's been happening. To which I replied, it shouldn't be happening. And so we're gonna have someone take a look at that too. I think that's part of that not clicking shut. Let's see, what else do we have?
I think you'll find that all of those locking mechanisms are even over 25 years old now.
You know, I was looking at the doors today. And, you know, from the outside, I didn't look again at the inside. I was in a hurry. But I looked at the outside, and where the hinges are, it's all rusted, and the whatever is on the door, it comes out about that far onto the door from the hinge. It's all not dirt, it's actually kind of a rust colored. What I'd like to do when the weather gets better is see if we can get the hinges replaced and get the doors repainted, because I don't think that's going to wash off. So. And it was a very nice event. Bill, I know you participated. You look pretty happy handing out stuff to people.
I'm very happy. 160 children.
I heard it's more than they've ever had.
It's certainly more than we've had since COVID started, and it's been building.
Good. Well, there's nothing cuter than watching a little kid have tons of eggs around them. And what's the kid do? They go for a particular one that's not even near them. And one little boy filled his entire bucket with green eggs. So Very cute.
That's the fun part. Is watching them.
We used to take our grandson to
Yeah.
those. So I miss that. I miss having little kids around.
Linda was there, that was restarted 54 years ago, and Linda was on that.
Very
committee
nice.
then. I've been on it about 35 years, I'm still one of the rookies.
Very nice.
No, a nice group,
Yep.
they did
And they did a
job.
fine job.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Oh, yeah, year round.
Okay. Paul, can you hear me even though I keep turning my head away? I'm trying to use my emotive voice.
Yeah, no, I can hear everybody just fine. You're good.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm trying to think, the other things that I would like to talk about tonight, unless you have something else, are the things that are already on the agenda. So, one thing I would ask, when we get to the right point, is that we add that authorizing resolution to the agenda so we can get that
I think
done.
it's on here. Regulation of authorizing resolution related to Demus naming Catherine Silversmith.
I didn't ask for it. I promise.
Okay.
Chris,
Damn, she's good.
this thing is something we have to do, right?
And the mowing bid,
And, oh, I didn't have, make a copy of this for them. So we have, and we also have one mowing, we put out a mowing bid for the cemeteries and we had one responder. So what I'd like to do tonight is also approve that bid so we get that tucked away.
Is that the normal guy?
Yes. Yes. And in addition, at our next meeting, I would like to finalize the bid for the mowing, bear with me, for Parks and Rec, because they have a mowing contract as well. And I just want to review it. I want to review it with Sherry, the commission,
Right.
yeah, the director, and with the person who's going to be doing the mowing first. And then I'd like us to approve it.
Now, is that a new one? Because Greg Peg was awarded that the last time. Is he also
Could you say that again? Greg Peck?
Greg Peck?
I can't remember if it's Greg Peck.
He got it the last time.
Yeah, then it's the
'Cause
same
Joe had
person.
given it up.
She was quite happy with Greg Peck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, he does a nice job. All right, so going into acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 18th. Did you have a chance to look at those, that?
I don't think I've seen them.
Can we pass on that for our next meeting? I don't remember reviewing them again as Roger.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we.
Yeah,
didn't want
I did those minutes and I sent them out. And what I did was I did them right after the meeting because it was
It's the best time.
important that we get it recorded
Okay.
so that so just so you know,
All right, oh,
it's not the end of the world.
okay.
Okay, okay, so here from boards, commissions, committees. Old business, Ashford School roof replacement projects update. So we had something come up today. What we've been doing in working with the architect is we've also been working with the solar group to make sure that the roof that's going up is going to be able to support the solar. So we did, reach out to the architect to, the RFP said that that person would be working with the solar person. So we reached out, bear with me.
Mark Robbins.
We reached out to the architect because the solar company was saying, or our agent for the solar really, was saying that he needed to understand what the weight bearing was for the roof for the solar. And wasn't getting an answer and wasn't getting an answer. And we've tried to have these two working together and it's a little awkward. So we thought we were past that. And the So what's come up is we finally got some information. We didn't get what the weight bearing is, but instead, something was sent that said it was going to cost us $12,000 to get that. And it should have been done by the architect in terms of what he was doing. So we're going to contact town council. Now, first of all, we haven't talked to the architect yet. Calls were made to the people on the school roof committee today, Jim, et cetera, Cindy, to let them know. And we're going to pursue not having to pay that out of our pocket. We can pay it out of our pocket. We have the money, and we will probably have to do that. But then we need to collect back. It needs to come out of whatever the architect's costs are, because he should have taken care of that to begin with. And I'm really not happy that he didn't.
Now, our council has a copy of their contract, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure it's spelled out in there.
Yep. So that's one thing that's going
That's
on.
been an issue we've talked
Oh,
about.
you know what?
From the very beginning of this project.
And then, yeah. Well, the architect was picked by the committee based upon interviews, and they were really comfortable with him.
I remember.
And you know, we'll get this resolved one way or another. So the next thing, unless you have more questions about the school roof.
No, it's just that the load bearing is a very critical issue. It's been a long time. And it started with people having concerns about putting in additional penetrations because of the solar panels.
Right.
And then we were advised, well, they're not going to be additional penetrations. They'll use the existing ones because the solar panels are actually going to be on concrete footings, which adds even more weight than just the solar panel. So it obviously with any roof, load bearing is a critical issue.
And particularly, you know, the solar weight needs to be taken into account. And it would be very short-sighted not to do that.
And there's abrasion issues.
But we should have been able to get those numbers before. And actually, if the solar person kept requesting them, I think Chris might have requested them, and then I requested them. And I never got an answer back.
From the architect.
So. And we are paying him. So right now it's not a happy group. So, okay, the next one is lively. Discuss and act on ACE equipment logging request accessing Kettle Rock property. So I have to ask you, Bill, have you heard about this?
No.
Not at all?
No.
So on.
No, not a word. And I have seen John Patton at church a couple of times. He's never mentioned anything to me. We don't.
All right, so here's what happened. Last Tuesday, I got a call from someone who lives down in that area where Giant Oak Road and Carosi Road, saying there's a logger in there in Kettle Rock. So I called John Patton because I looked around. I went, okay. I called John Patton first. I didn't get him at first. I must have gotten his wife. And then she put him on, or he called me back. And I said, I'm going down to kick your logger off Kettle Rock. I said, he's not authorized to be on there. And so the rest of the story is, first of all, the gate was unlocked and shouldn't have been. It was unlocked by Joe back when, I guess. So when I went down there, he gave me an argument. First of all, he gave me an argument. And what I did was I had Mike D'Amato come down too. And certainly the person in the neighborhood who saw them there, he was there too. And what they had done is and I don't know what they're called, but they're not railroad ties, but they're square. And they must be, they gotta be at least that big and long. Dumped a whole bunch of them in there. You driven in part way in and dumped them. Now I can see water running down and whatever beyond that. So he kind of gave me an argument. He said, well, I was authorized to do it. You know, the selectmen said we could do this. And we met July 25th last year. And And I'll tell you what, I will never do this again. I will never approve something where we don't have paperwork. Because what happened was he came in to talk with us. And we went,
So,
as long as you do this and this and this, and we have a lease agreement, we're fine. Well, you contacted town council, bear with me, and a lease agreement was drawn up.
That's right.
Now, I don't think we saw it, but you had it and you sent it to John Patton. Believe me, I've had to trace this through the breadcrumb trail.
Mhm.
And there's no signed copy of a lease back here, so I don't know if he ever responded. But
He responded, he came in and he said, I've signed this, it's ready for your signature. And I said, I'm not, no, he wouldn't sign it because he didn't like some of the language in it. And he wanted me to sign it. And I said, well, let me tell you something, you don't sign it, I never sign it.
of course
And I
not.
never signed it.
Mhm.
And I sent
Good, thank
whatever,
you.
whatever he was questioning back to Duncan,
Okay,
who was working on it. And we had a long file on this. He knows damn well we didn't approve anything or anybody to go forward with anything there.
thank you. Well, I
I'll swear
figured,
to that.
I understand. So I looked at the agreement that we had drafted, because I wasn't sure if he had signed it or not. And I look at it and it goes, that they could go on Kettle Rock from October 1st to December 31st of 2023. So here we are, March 28th or whatever it was, and they're down in there.
Different year.
Well, what, and the logger actually lives in town as well.
Right.
So I will give you copies afterwards, but there are a couple of things where that logger has had some issues in some other towns. And so I'll make sure you have copies of their what the state did. They had to pay fines, I think at least $40,000 in fines. It was in 3 different towns.
I had all that and I talked to Bruce
Oh, you
about that,
did?
or wetland. And
Okay, so
that's
here-
why I took baby steps and didn't give anybody any permission. I wanted to make sure.
well, I ended up calling Bruce from Kettle Rock while I was down there. And he said, no, they had, his paperwork has said they had agent approval, but it was only if they fulfilled these conditions. And if I understand correctly, the history of this is that they hadn't filled out all their paperwork or whatever. And they were supposed to, finish whatever they had to write up. And that our wetlands agent had scheduled a wetlands commission meeting, I think for November 4th or something like that, and canceled it on November 3rd because they didn't have the paperwork, and you don't go before the wetlands
Yeah.
commission without the paperwork. So, piecing this, I got a big file now, piecing this together. I also talked to, apparently 4 weeks ago, both Lenny and a very nice man, someone else who's on our wetlands commission.
Mike Dietz.
Mike Dietz, thank you, Chris,
You're welcome.
walked the Kettle Rock route they were talking about. And the 2 of them went, no. And they're supposed to submit an alternate route.
The last time he had come in here to talk to me, he admitted that his original proposal was totally not gonna work. And that they were coming in with an alternative. Now, at the time, Bruce had a problem because he wasn't satisfied that Ace's forester was a legitimate forester.
Exactly.
And we said to them, when you get a forester that's acceptable to us, we'll then revisit this.
And so they got, bear with me. They got James Howland, right? So here are, I have to make an extra copy, but I'll just share this with you for now. These are consent orders from the state of Connecticut for the company that did, if you'll give this back to me afterwards, that would be good. This is my only other copy. Consent orders for the other towns, from the other towns, or about the other towns where they did their logging. Now, that was 2019, so they may have improved their practices, now that they learned from that. particular situation. But at this point in time, there's indecision on where the road should go. Protections need to be put in place. I talked with Bruce Fitzpatrick, I've talked with everybody. And Wetlands Commission approval is required. And the initial license agreement was written before it was known that there was no application. And the agreement was supposed to start in October 2023 and end in December 31st, 2023. So they're pretty much sitting there with nothing,
What did John Patton have to say about all this?
nothing. I was in a hurry. I was going down to get him off the property. And the thing is, he dropped the materials on the side, the left side as you go in. And he asked if he had to take them out. And I said, not yet. I let him leave them there for now.
You were nicer than I would have been on that.
I did not sound nice when I was down there, so I was sure that you might hear from John Patton or somebody.
No, I would have supported, well, you know that I would. They have no business. I mean, if we have to issue a cease and desist and terminate all negotiations on this, we're perfectly within our rights to do
So,
that.
right now, there are
They
no,
came to us for an accommodation.
yes, they did. So I would recommend to us that in the future, we make sure that they've actually submitted an application with a plan of some kind. And then we know what we're agreeing to. The other thing is, they should be posting a bond, a cash bond for the reclamation of whatever they've messed up.
Mhm.
And that's a pretty normal thing.
Mhm.
And I think in the agreement that was crafted by our town council, he didn't have that piece in there. And so when we do have an agreement, if we have an agreement, I'd like to make sure we have that.
Well, that's why that
Well-
form was only in draft only, and the logger signed it, and I said, I'm in no position to sign this. We're way too soon for that.
Yeah. Thanks. So that's what's going on with Kettle Rock. And what they did, they missed wetlands in terms of where they were logging. They missed wetlands and some water sources.
Bruce had
And they sure as
concerns with
heck
the
missed them in
flagging.
ours.
They did some flagging, I understand, and that wasn't even appropriate.
Right.
Some water courses that they had, some water crossings they weren't showing.
Right. And I still, my original, I went back and I watched our meeting from July 25th because I wanted to make sure I could remember. I didn't even remember approving it. It's been a while and it was 10 minutes out of our lives. And when I watched it, I was thinking, what I brought forth at the time was I'm really concerned about those logging trucks on those little roads. Now, I understand they're basically a public thoroughfare, but it's a really little neighborhood. And those are triaxles with logs in them. So, I don't know.
That's why in the final draft, we were talking with Duncan about putting time restrictions on there, limits the number of traffic per day
So
Well, I
when I-
remember the
so when I
I
was-
remember the conversation. We were only talking about 2 or 3 trucks a day,
at the most.
you
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah,
because,
and when
you
I
know,
talked with him down
what's-
there, he said one truck in the morning and one truck
Yeah.
at night. And he was trying to make the case, and he actually, the logger acted like he believed that he had the right to be there. So it was a lengthy conversation.
Mhm.
And Mike D'Amato was there because he was also thinking about the logging operation itself. It wasn't just Kettle Rock. We also, our inland wetlands agent had resigned and his last day was basically today. And those affidavits or whatever,
Mhm.
they were under my door this morning. Okay, he made sure that they got here so I could see them, so we could see them.
Mhm.
All right, so enough about Kettle Rock. I just wanted you to be warned. It's interesting that Casey is concerned that by pushing back on this, that it will somehow affect our ability to buy product from,
Becker. I don't
From
think we
Becker.
can let that
and
phase our.
it should not,
In the least.
it should not, and,
wanna play
and we
those
get a
kind of
lot of
games.
material from them, so I would hope that they would not be as foolish as that.
Well,
He also said that we were getting a discount and we're not. Because it doesn't show us a discount on the bills.
That I'm not familiar with, I didn't.
So he was really
check and
nervous
see.
about that, and we had a lively conversation because I
Joe
was
had
saying,
mentioned something to me
Yeah.
about that, and I said, that is not gonna face anyone's decision here. I mean, that's basically a threat.
right. Well, what I said is, we're not going to be cowed into letting somebody tear up our property just because they happen to sell us products that we need. So kind of my attitude that day. Okay, next thing on the agenda. The finalized town building use fee schedule and Ashford Food Bank bank donation policy. You have in front of you a pretty simple, really is procedures about how the food bank would be managed, the monies that we get.
Okay.
It's this one, it's a single page. This here.
Oh,
It's right here under this one. There you go.
No, that's the
No, that's the
cemetery.
trees. No, here. You have one, right?
No, I didn't. get one.
I could have sworn I gave you both. Give me a second.
No.
I know I made the copies. Do me a favor. Can I take that for a second? Let me rip that out of your hands. And make a couple copies. And while you're waiting for that, here are the estimate that we got from Kelly and Son for the cemetery. And what I'd like to do after this is put that on the agenda. So I'll walk you through this. So this is one part of it. This is how the procedures for how the money basically is being handled at this point, because we had to have something in place. So donations for use of these three buildings, facilities for private events will be paid by check made out to the town of Ashford Food Bank. The two checks are required for each usage event, 1 to 3 days prior to the event, because we don't want to hold checks for very long.
Mhm.
The first check is for use of the facility. The second check is a refundable cleaning deposit. First check will be given to Ashford Social Services Director after the event is held, because if the event, the thing is canceled, we still don't want to be sitting here holding a check. The director will record it and send it to the finance department for deposit into the town's Ashford Food Bank checking account at Centerville Bank. The second check, which is a refundable cleaning deposit, will be held in the selectman's office until after the facility has been inspected for cleanliness. If additional cleaning is required after an event, the person who reserved the facility will be notified and the check will be deposited in the Ashford Food Bank account, checking account. If additional cleaning is not required, the check will be returned to the person who wrote the check. Funds in the Ashford Food Bank checking account will be dispersed by the Social Services Director as follows. Checks made out to the Finance Department for the local Ashford Food Bank managed by Living Proof Church. Okay, and the first $880 that's sitting in that account that's been in there for years, she will be having finance write a check for that amount to that food bank. And other means and mechanisms that she could use in terms of those monies are gift cards for local grocery stores and farmers market vouchers. And anything else that's food related. If that passes your approval. And the social services director will track all incoming and outgoing monies and submit invoices and receipts to the finance department for payments. So what is expected is that she will, if she writes a check to the Ashford, the church's food bank,
Mhm.
the check itself is a receipt, but she may ask for a receipt in addition, just to make sure that we're truly tracking the money from the time it comes in the door and goes out the door and who it went to.
Now, the food bank at the church, the gift cards, any idea what we're talking about on percentages, or is that gonna be, how is that gonna be? If we take $100 in, how is that gonna be divvied up? Any idea?
What I'd like to do is leave it to her discretion. She has no problem writing checks to the food bank. I made sure of that. She knows in general what she would need for the food, the vouchers and whatever. She also used to work at the food bank, so she knows what they hand out.
Yeah.
And, the boxes that they, she used to help pack the boxes and all of that. And so I think she has, when we think about the people in our town, she has the best sense of people needing money for food. So I don't think we should dictate to her that you got to give a certain percentage to the church food bank versus anything else that she's doing. I maybe it's not right to say, but I trust her judgment on this. She has been handling monies for people in need for a long time. And she monitors, she records everything she's doing. So the food bank, when all is said and done, I think is gonna make out much better than they have in the past.
Which was
For
our
example, we
intention
got a
from the
check,
beginning.
and this is what I want people to do on their checks too. And remember, they come in here to make their reservations
Mhm.
and to bring the check. They actually bring it here. And so what I want on their checks in the bottom part is the date of their event. And if they want the money to go to the food bank, if they are specifically saying they want to go there, they don't have to say that. We're
Mhm.
still gonna treat it like money that goes into our checking account for whatever food purposes we think are critical.
Mhm.
But if they say specifically they want it to go over to the church's food bank, then we'll mark on it that, and she can track it that way. Beats 2 cans of soup,
Which is why we.
why we did this to begin with.
I have no problem with that. Did you say there's other parts to this?
The other part for this is going to be in terms of how much the charges are.
Fees, yeah.
And I have talked with, I think I might have mentioned, I talked with the reps from the farmers market and from the Ashford Arts Council, because those are, I'm gonna call them money-making events for vendors,
Mhm.
not necessarily things for private parties for people in town
Mhm.
or their families. And so I just want to get the numbers straight with them. Like, for example, the farmer's market is probably not going, it could be based on the number of tables they have. It's gonna be, how many dollars more are you gonna charge for a table for this? And I want to make sure that it's a equitable, that they are providing
I have no
at least
idea.
50, if not more.
Yeah, I didn't, other than the vendors selling their product, I had no idea that the vendors were actually paying
For
the food
tables?
market for entry there.
I think they are. I am sure they are.
I just had no
It
idea.
might be
I mean, we go
$5 a
there
table.
and buy corn or we buy product, we just pay the vendor directly.
Yeah, you do, but the vendor, to be able to set up
They
as
pay
part of that
something.
whole thing and get advertised as part of what the farmer's market is doing, they pay for a table.
They do.
That's my understanding, and that's based upon talking to Loretta Roble, who works with the farmer's market.
Okay.
Then I also might have mentioned before, that I met with the 2 co-chairs for the Ashford Arts Council. And one of them said, you should be charging a lot more for any use of our facility. She said, over in Tallinn, they charge $1,000 for whatever. I said, we're not there yet. we'll see how all of this goes. So I want to work that out and make sure I understand about any other true vendor money-making things that are going on, and we'll get that cemented. And that'll be written up as well.
Okay. And then,
And there's one more piece.
okay,
The other piece is I'm working on a contract for people to sign when they come in to rent. I don't want to use the word rent, to use our facilities. And the contract is going to be general, but it's going to have some specifics based upon each facility. So today I got information from Kit on what she has. She's got a sheet. It was interesting when we had someone who did not clean up after themselves in Knowlton Hall. And I asked if we had anything written up as to what the requirements were if you were going to use the hall, like what the cleanup requirements are, you know, restocking the bathroom, that kind of thing, with the materials we have there. And the answer I got was, well, everybody knows. Well, everybody doesn't know. And we have more people looking at this now that we've advertised it. So we definitely have people who don't know. So we need something that's in writing. What I'd like to do is get that all crafted up and send it off to Duncan
okay.
to take a look at. I don't want to make it onerous. I just want to make it so that they understand you
Just
need to
a
do these
user's
certain
agreement.
things. Sorry?
A user's agreement.
Good name for it. Thank you.
I assume it'll say no alcoholic beverages.
Right. If, by the way, one thing that did come up and was that the library wanted to do their wine tasting out in the park, Pompey Hollow Park, on the grass. And my reaction was, no, because it'd be too hard to control who's getting alcohol. You could have people coming in from wherever. And so instead, you know, I said, there's Knowlton Hall. And then Chris this morning mentioned the senior center. And it actually would work well because they could actually drink in, you know, they could get their drinks
Yeah.
inside. They can step outside if the weather's nice, that kind of thing. I talked with Kit about it, and she said, oh, that would be fine. And this was all because the wine tasting group thought that they weren't going to be able to use Church Farm. Well, that got worked out because they weren't going to be able to use the
Okay.
bathrooms at Church Farm or that kind of thing. So apparently that got worked out. But it is, and of course, if they're using the senior center, they'd have to get the insurance for a liquor permit, if you will, get on our insurance for it and pay for it. So it was just interesting to think about using that building, which I don't think we've used in that fashion before,
So senior center.
senior center, where they served alcohol.
We've allowed weddings and things over there.
With alcohol?
I believe so.
Okay,
But they've got the 1-day rider for the insurance liability rider.
exactly. That's what we would want. All right, so that's the third piece, which is the actual contract. And I'm having a good time with that.
Okay.
Luckily, I had some procedures that were written by the senior center. All right, so with this, you're comfortable with this particular
Yeah, I
procedure?
like the
Yep.
concept. I think
Yep.
it's something we ought to,
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll
you
have
can
to iron it
consult
out a
with
little bit.
Melissa after a month.
We've already worked with her,
Just
and
to
we'll,
see if there's any glitches that we've got to work out.
thank you. Okay, and what else was there? That might be it. Oh, and then we have the, could I have a motion from someone to put the cemetery bid on the
So
review of the cemetery bid?
Second,
Okay, cemetery bid.
how does this line up with last year's proposal from them,
I think it's the same.
from Kelly?
Let me double check. Chris, are
It-
you
it
still
looked
on?
Familiar to me.
Yep.
Hi, how did this, the proposal from Kelly and Son compare to last year? I can't remember.
Jim came in $1,000 lower. He
Oh.
kept his
Okay.
price of,
So,
he kept the same price for, I think, 6 years. And this year he came in $1,000 lower.
that's nice.
Good.
The, okay, so a motion was made to put the, review of this contract. I'm sorry, of this bid on the agenda. Bill made the motion and Roger seconded it, and all in favor, aye.
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 Okay. So
I
I-
move the motion.
Okay,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous, thank you. And Chris, thank you for reminding me about that one. Okay, on the certification, where I get to authorize and direct, deliver any and all documents on the town of, behalf of the town of Ashford for anything
you
related to
skipped the-
this. Sorry?
You skipped item D under old business.
Oh,
Proposed 24,
budget.
25 budget, CIP review.
oh. Well, it was lonely at the meeting, and I provided you with the minutes from the meeting.
It was a dark and stormy
It
night.
was a dark and stormy night. So ultimately, the Board of Finance approved the general government budget that we provided. They approved the school's budget and approved the capital improvement plan. It was unanimous on all three counts. The first vote on the general government was the most interesting. So you can see it from the minutes and you can certainly watch the recording. The and there was one thing that I said that was very clear, because when they did their first vote, they shot it down. And nobody had a comment, nobody had any questions. And so I was sitting there with, okay, what do we do now? They explained why they had two abstained, why they abstained, and the other one, why he voted no originally. And that was all addressed, which was good. Actually, Christina ultimately did a very nice summary for herself of why she was supporting it. I always felt that all of the members of the Board of Finance should be in agreement on any budget they're putting forth to the public. And if they can't get to agreement, they're not having the right discussions.
It's helpful.
Yeah. So let's see, they approved that. Christine, I have given you the first three pages that are the letter that is going on top of the public hearing notice, the public hearing package.
Yep.
So you have what Christina wrote, and you have in it, I highlighted the mill increase on the second page. I think it's on the second page on the top. And it was done without revision.
That's the, there it shows.
Or maybe you don't have a highlighted copy.
No, I got it.
Okay, good. And so the mill rate,
I was just curious, because I had heard it was a 1.28,
yeah,
and I was curious, that did take into consideration the increase in the grand list, right?
yes. The increase in the grand list is on the first page. It's 0.26%
I know it's not much,
over last year.
yeah.
It was almost $1 million more, but not enough to make a huge difference. So the Board of Education, we're at a 5.3% increase. The Board of Education is at a 0.7% increase. And the Region 19 Board of Education at this point in time is a 3.24% increase. My hope is that they will do as they've always done and bring it down, but maybe not. Someone at the meeting made a comment that they felt pretty comfortable with the increase that they were proposing. We'll see.
Region 19 did.
Yeah, we'll see.
They usually do surprises though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know what I wanted to say, is that I made it quite clear that no matter what they did, since they shot it down at first, no matter what they did, we are not changing the fire department request
Mhm.
budget. Because it needs to be done. All right, new business. Ratification and authorizing resolution Demus naming me as the authorized to execute and deliver documents on behalf of our town. That's the thing I thought we needed to add to the agenda, but it's already here.
Okay, I move that we ratify.
I thank you, sir.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Woefully,
Okay.
aye.
Have we gotten, I mean, I saw something quickly,
Yeah.
going through emails, about the firehouse roof.
So,
Um,
we do have Paul on here if you wanted to add to it. As far as I understand, while we don't have a truly definitive estimate for putting a metal roof up there, it sounds like maybe 2.5 times what we're paying, would have to pay for what we are intending to put up. And we need to make sure we've got all of our ducks in a row. What we'd like to do, in talking with the Board of Finance, is have a town meeting to approve the amount, and so it can be taken from the undesignated fund. So we have to have the town meeting for
Yeah.
something as big as
We've
that.
already taken it off the CIC.
Yeah, we took it
CNR,
off of, yeah,
So we have to do it that way.
yeah. It's really the smart way to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
And what was good was the Board of Finance decided, when they decided to move some monies from the general fund over into CNR. And what they did was they moved the amount of what is on the capital improvement plan over the 4 million. Okay, to move that amount in, and so that they know that there are monies in there to cover what we're asking for. So I thought that was very good, and they can always move additional monies over later.
Now, the
If they
last
want.
figure I saw on the roof, shingled roof, was 100,000.
It was I think it was 95,000, but we said it was 100, and then it was adding at least 14,000
Plus or minus.
to it to take the solar off and put it back on. That's the estimate we have.
Well, I think that's a separate project.
Bill, it's
Bill?
actually all one, unfortunately.
You think it's all one, and why is
Well,
that?
Well, the roof project itself, the estimate was 97,000 for the roof, but the
Okay.
solar has to come off and then it has to go back on.
Yeah,
And that estimate was just over 14,000. I know council was still trying to work on trying to reduce that, because I felt, and I think you would agree with me, that part of the damage to the roof was caused by the solar install, by improper install. So
yeah.
they should be covering some of those costs somewhere, whether they reduce the amount of the removal and reinstall or however they want to do it. I don't know. I haven't heard back. I'm still waiting for McClintock for the second roof proposal for the metal roof. I reached out to him yesterday via email. I have not heard back. Or I'm sorry, today. I'm confused on days. I have not heard back, however.
So what I'm anticipating is that ultimately, when we go to the town meeting, what we'll probably be asking for would be not to exceed 120,000. And that way, we would earmark that so that you've got the roof estimate was 97,000, but you never know.
Right, and then the additional funds for
And then the
solar.
14,000.
Yeah, right.
But
And
should do everything we can to divide that into a couple of projects.
Divided into a couple of projects? So you're saying treat the
Solar panel.
solar
removal-
separate?
removal
And Paul was just saying it's the same project.
well,
So-
I'm saying it's one project because it has to come off the roof and go on the roof, and it's all part of the roof. I mean,
Can't do the roof until it comes off.
correct. And you can't, and it has to go back on. We've looked into that extensively.
So we could, if we did treat it as two separate projects, one of the only reasons I would say that is because you have to have the roof inspected to make sure that it's a good roof.
Right.
And you can't put the solar on until you have that done. So if what you're really saying is, okay, make it one project, you got to go through this, the inspection, probably multiple inspections, then you put the solar on and another inspection, right?
Right. I mean, that's up to you. It's however you want to split it up. I mean, I kind of look at it as one project in the sense that it all goes in the same, kind of like the school roof, right? We're all
Yeah,
doing the
those
roof.
are
We're
two,
gonna put the
those are
solar-
two separate projects, the
Are
solar
they?
and the school roof are two
So
separate ones.
that's up to you.
Absolutely separate.
I just, well, I just considered it one big thing, but it doesn't really make any difference as long as we have the funding in place once we decide where we're gonna go with it.
So Bill, what was your thinking about it being two separate projects? You're thinking the solar might not go back on? Because it needs to go back on.
No, I'll get into it in another time.
Okay. All right, it would be dealing with two different companies. So
Correct,
that in itself is awkward
right.
under one project.
Let's get the bottom line of what we're talking about dollars. I mean, I was a big one for the metal roof, but the last thing I heard was the metal is gonna be over 300,000. And I don't think we can afford that at this point.
No, and if I recall, Paul, you, rough estimate at this point in time is it would be basically 2.5 times what a regular roof would be.
Yeah, the second,
Uh,
the estimate for the metal was like 300,000, so almost 3 times. And then I had asked them to split it, which he did, that other company to split it. So if we just did the larger portion, the bay section, which is where
Oh.
the solar is, but that still would, then you still have to put the other part back in and for the shingles. And that's why I was hoping that, and I asked Dan to do that. So maybe he may have a better number just because it would be one company. They do both metal and shingles. So he may have a better overall picture that we can work with.
Okay, so we're not gonna
so-
be able to go forward with anything until we have that good picture.
Yeah, we need to, we really need to hear back from Dan and I'll keep on him.
All right,
Um,
thank you.
All right.
all right, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Okay, that's another conversation, I guess,
Yes.
another night. Okay. What else were we adding to this? Oh,
We added the cemetery.
yeah. And
Was
we
there something
added
else you
the,
needed? We didn't have to add the
We did.
ratification.
yeah, cemetery.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'm not sure how to handle this. I want to be timely in terms of responding back to this America 250 thing. And I don't know if I get good candidates for this, or a good candidate, is this something I could proceed with, or do you need to have me bring that candidate back to you and say, yeah, this person's okay to represent this?
I'm comfortable with you going ahead with that.
All right.
There are some issues that I just heard about going on with the Historical Society,
Really?
major ones.
Anything we can be helpful with? Not at this time? I'd love to get some more details before we talk about it. Okay. So if that were the case, then I would ask for a motion for the selectmen to authorize me to appoint.
I will make that motion to authorize the first selectman to appoint a delegate for the 250th.
America 250.
America 250. And I will happily second that.
Thank you. Just be glad that it's not you.
Thank you.
Okay, the America 250. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. That'll keep it simple. Also, I forgot to mention, we certainly have been having people come in to bring in their paperwork who received grant awards from the $50,000 of ARPA
good.
funds we set aside.
Okay,
They're all happy, smiling faces.
nice, good.
So we had people coming in Friday, and then we had more people coming in today, got some more people coming tomorrow. The first people, their checks will be cut on Wednesday. So we're told they can come back on Wednesday, pick them up. So they're very happy about getting the money.
Good.
And it was a great idea to do that, put that forth. And my letter that I put in the Ashford Citizen got a little scrambled between here and there. And but I did put something in about it, that we had recipients and that much money was being doled out.
Good.
Okay. So the only other thing, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention it, and will bring us back to it, is we're doing Memorial Day planning. And gentlemen, I would like to, just as a precursor to it, I'm letting you know we're doing the planning. Rob Chernak had asked me previously if he could read the announcement. I forget what it's called. In all likelihood, we'll come back, but in all likelihood, I think he would be a very good person to do that. And we're looking for ideas. So what we've had come up is, talked about is everything from, kids decorating their bikes to people decorating their lawnmowers.
So we're back to doing Memorial Day parades again?
Yeah, why not?
Last 2 years, we were trying to do we were just doing a
Right.
memorial to.
And then do Fourth of
Memorial.
July?
No, 4th of July, nobody's around.
Well, I was just getting pushback from some veterans who just say.
From some veterans saying,
Yeah.
don't do a parade on Veterans, Memorial
well,
Day?
Memorial Day is for
From the what?
the Memorial Day is for those that have passed in the line of duty and what have you. And there was, I sensed that there was
I got
encountered
the
some-
same feedback.
Okay, what are you getting for feedback? Because I'm not getting the full sentences.
that really
It's a somber day?
parades, yeah, a somber day, and really a day of, some reflection and what have you.
So what opportunity, first of all, for July 4th, you're gonna compete with the parade that's over in Willimantic.
The
That's
Boom
one.
Box Parade, yeah.
And that means for bands and whatever. Also, over in, bear with me,
Putnam.
the school is out. So the kids are no longer able to be organized to do things, through the school, bringing them together, planning for the parade, anything like that. And we've done it for years, and it slowed down a few years ago. And I'm a veteran, and I think of it as a very somber day as well.
Mhm.
But it's also a day of community. And so that was the thinking. It's
Okay.
an opportunity to bring the community together
Mhm.
and to have those moments too. The ceremony itself would be a somber event.
Mhm.
And, depending on where we hold the ceremony, I always like holding it at the memorial itself,
Mhm.
provided the weather's decent enough.
Yeah.
But the parade, coming there and, making sure that people quiet down
Mhm.
for the ceremony, and, the flags go up at the right time with the scouts doing it.
Mhm.
I don't see any reason why it couldn't go on. Unless you got a better idea for how to have a parade one time a year in town.
Yep.
Where people can actually attend and their bands can play and whatever.
Mhm.
I figure by May 31st, most of the kids have gotten all their training in school from their school bands.
Mhm.
And once you hit 4th of July, they're gone.
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying about, the community and community involvement and pulling a community together. I'm just saying that this was the feedback that I've heard from several veterans.
So was this the fire department felt that way?
This was fire department and outside fire department. I mean,
Paul?
No, not the fire department as
fire
entities
department.
marching. No, I'm talking about conversations that I've had. This is, no, this has nothing to do with the fire department, not willing to participate in it. This is conversations that I've had with veterans.
Many
Who have-
veterans?
I can name probably 4.
4.
It seems to be a snowballing opinion. I first started hearing about this probably 7 or 8 years ago from veterans.
Okay.
Not a lot, but a few of them. But it seems last year, after we didn't have the parade, I had many compliments from veterans telling me that's the way they thought it should be, and some citizens. It was well received.
So you're telling
the way
me
we're doing
we
it.
don't want to have a parade?
Just giving you feedback.
Just
that we've-
feedback.
So we never get them together.
Well, I'm just saying, let's,
Can't have a parade in November.
okay.
can't have a parade. Well, if having a parade in July, you're not gonna have the participation that you would have.
Mhm. Um,
So I'd love to have
Let-
those
let-
veterans talk with me.
that was what I was gonna suggest.
That would be wonderful.
What was that?
Yeah,
Have the veteran.
yeah, have them if you can, ask them if they contact me so we
Yeah,
can talk
okay,
about it.
right.
Yeah, right now, the general plan was to have the parade.
Okay. No, that.
Definitely have the ceremony.
Mhm.
But the parade gives other people the opportunity, well, first of all, to learn.
Mhm.
And, you know, if a kid does cartwheels at some point on the lawn at Pompey Hollow Park.
Mm.
I'm sorry, it just takes me back to childhood
I
when
know.
we would have our Memorial Day parades in the town I come from. And there'd be a somber part, and then there'd be a part where people are getting together and you got the kids out there and whatever.
Okay, no, I'm not trying to squelch
Okay.
anything here. I just want to make sure that everybody's voice is being heard.
Okay. Well, I've always battled for it to have a somber time, really take it seriously.
Yeah.
Which means, you know, keep your kids under control while this is
Mm-hmm.
going on. Anyway, we will have more conversation about that, but please ask those veterans to contact me.
Please, I would,
We don't want to be doing things that are offensive,
no,
but we do want to make sure that we are able to pull a community together whenever we can. Okay. And the school doesn't, they do some things for Memorial Day. No, they really do it for Veterans Day. They do a fantastic job for Veterans Day.
Hmm.
And so that's why we don't need to do anything other than maybe a small ceremony out there.
Yeah.
Okay, and where are we on the agenda?
Item B under new business.
Board and commission appointments for these 3 of these positions that we have here. We don't have anybody yet.
I have nobody at this time.
No.
All right. And then review request to alter transfer station hours. I haven't gone back to that yet,
I
so
haven't really.
we'll waive that for now, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Tax refunds, Chris, do we have any?
Yep, Linda donated 2.
Oh, very good. And what are they?
Both citing statute 12-129. Mary and John Calaris in the amount of $99.16. And CCAP auto lease in the amount of $264.29.
Can we have a
That's it.
motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second, aye.
Aye, thank you. Agenda items for upcoming Board of Selectmen meetings. We're definitely gonna be talking more about Kettle Rock. We're definitely going, in terms of the logging request. The, anything
I
new?
want to propose that we have a new means of referring to the former wagon shed property.
Yeah, I tried it.
And-
I used to
and-
call it the C word, but.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like
So
to
what do you wanna
propose
call it?
another
What do you
term.
say? You're saying the former watershed?
Wagon shed.
Wagon shed is better than Kettle Rock.
Yeah.
Kettle Rock just,
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
painful memories.
well, they have to come up with a name. The property.
Yeah, actually, I had some pretty fond memories of the old wagon shed,
yeah.
but.
Well, if we said wagon shed / Kettle Rock, we're probably covering quite a bit of ground.
I think the sore point is Kettle Rock.
Yeah,
Yeah. And as far as anything else, I'll be working on the contracts for using the
okay.
facilities. And if
Eight
there's nothing else,
21.
8:21,
We adjourn?
motion to adjourn. who-
Second.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And 8:21.
All right.
Very good.
Two quick things.